A talk show host makes a full disclosure. The daytime Emmy nominations are announced. A man swallowed by a whale is caught on video. This and more on tonight's Jacob Young Show. Welcome to tonight's show. It's Wednesday. It's March 20th. It's 2019. And we're live. You can write in during the show, of course, to comment on tonight's topics. You can always ask me any questions, so please say hello. Join the conversation. I can see there's already several people who already joined the conversation, a lot of familiar faces. Make sure you always tell any of your friends about the show. So moving right along, the biggest entertainment news so far this week, aside, at least for me, has got to be the talk show host Wendy Williams' admission that she is currently living in a sober house while she's recovering from an addiction. She had a cocaine issue in the past, but it hasn't been confirmed what her current challenge is. And I wanted to say just how brave it was for her to come forward with something that personal so that she can help others with addiction issues and face their problems. Now, television personalities can have a very big influence on society by taking away the shame from people that feel how they feel towards these things like mental illness or sobriety. Hopefully that this is going to help a lot of other people, to walk away from that sort of embarrassment. Substance abuse is an illness, just like any other illness. So congrats to Wendy for making that announcement. I think it's going to inspire a lot of people to seek some help. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts while we move on to this next topic. Now, I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the tragedy that happened in New Zealand Friday when 50 people were massacred. It was streamed live on Facebook. It is one of the most horrific things that I've ever heard of. And my heart goes out to all the families and to all my friends and fans in New Zealand. Even though the video was taken down after 17 minutes, there were still people who managed to capture it and repost it. My show that you are watching right now is live streamed so that we can connect and talk to each other in real time. But what do you think? Should we have longer delays in live streaming videos and better monitoring of content? Any thoughts or ideas of what online companies can do to prevent something like this from happening in the future? I'd love to hear your guys' opinion, comments on that. Got everybody here tonight. Thank you so much. Yeah, please feel free to chime in. Now, there's no shortage, of course, of viral videos every single day, but this week, one of the most touching and positive was the little boy who was surprised by his father during the boy's Taekwondo class. Now, the 9-year-old boy's father was deployed for 10 months in the military. The boy was blindfolded and was fighting his father, but had no idea it was his dad who had come home to surprise him. And it's impossible not to get choked up when the boy heard his father's voice. He took off the mask and ran crying into his father's arms. And as a dad, I completely lost it when I saw that one. Now, that's the kind of positive videos that we need to see more of. And speaking of being a dad, I also want to take a moment to wish my daughter, Grace, my youngest, 3 years old, a very, very happy birthday. She's had such a wonderful day. She's been talking about it for about a month straight leading up to her birthday, but she got a lot of gifts, and I think she really finally understood what it's like to receive gifts on her birthday and talk about her birthday. So I just want to take that moment and wish her a happy birthday. She was really lovely to watch this time. Last year it was like, I'm not sure what it is, but this year it was really wonderful. Mark Rosano says, showed a lot of courage for Wendy. Sure did. Another incredible viral video, thankfully had a happy ending. Did anybody see the video footage of the man who got swallowed by a whale? He was a photographer shooting in off the coast of South Africa in the ocean when he got mixed into a school of fish. The whale had taken him into his mouth. Wow. Yeah, I have this reoccurring dream, actually. I've always had it ever since I was younger, because I was an avid surfer when I was younger, and I always had this reoccurring dream that I was diving under a wave, and because you have to dive under, depth dive, they call it, to get past the breaker. And I'm going out there, and I'm paddling, and I go underneath the wave, and I run into something, and in my dream, this massive eye opens up in front of me, and it's a whale. I don't know why I've experienced this dream so many times. They say dreams mean something, but I have no idea what it means. It's pretty scary. So let me know if you understand dreams, what it means. Now, the 51-year-old photographer in this situation had his head and torso in the mouth of a 50-ton whale for a few seconds before the whale spit him out. You can see this video on YouTube. The photographer has been a guest on talk shows around the world last week, talking about his experience. He was apparently relieved when he realized that it wasn't a shark that had swallowed him. I would have been relieved as well. He came away from the experience without a bruise or even a scratch. Now, we all know the Bible story of Jonah and the whale. Strangest part of this story is that the man's son's named, you guessed it, Jonas. Crazy twist of fate right there. Kristen said, I haven't heard about this. He was the guy okay? Yeah, he was fine. He was fine. He just popped in his mouth. I'll show you the video later. I mean, we live in the same house. I might be in the doghouse, but no, we live in the same house. So, just when you thought award season was behind us, here comes the Daytime Emmys in May. Nominations came out today, and I wanted to give a shout out to the only 2 acting nominations from Bold and the Beautiful, Jackie Woods and Heather Tom. Also, a very special congratulations to Best Actor nominee John Lindstrom for his work on General Hospital. His wife, Katie McLean, of course, was my mom from All My Children. So I guess technically, John is my stepfather. Well-deserved nomination, John. And on a side note with Katie and John, I've got a project in development with them. John is also not only a great producer, but he's also a talented director, and so is Katie. And I was on the plane with her on my way to New York, and we started talking about this particular project, and she loved it. And so we're trying to put this thing together. So fingers crossed that we have something that comes together. It's a really touching Christmas movie, and that's all I can say about that. Speaking about actors, though, and I mentioned this last week for any of you who were here, and I'm sure you've seen it all over my social media, but I really want to take a second to talk about my new class, first of all, Actors Technique New York here in Utah. We've got a lot of registrations. We've got a lot of people signing up right now. There is a real need here in Salt Lake City. We have multiple Disney shows that are shot here. We have multiple films that are shot every year. Of course, Sundance Film Festival is here. So it's becoming a mecca for filming all sorts of things across the board. And there are some classes, but a lot of the classes are probably sort of things that you've heard in your communities or in your cities, that it might be like an agency that requires you to take their classes, and you're kind of getting some sort of getting ripped off, really. You shouldn't have to pay an agent for anything, but they're making you take their classes at the same time. That's not the situation here. This is strictly a technique class, on-camera training, also musical theater. We're going to be working a lot on that. So we got a lot of registrations happening right now, but I started thinking, well, what the heck? Well, why don't I broaden this and bring a charity into this? And of course, I was in the system for several years when I was younger, in the foster care system. So I reached out to a wonderful lady by the name of Darcy Hearst. She's runs the state of Utah's foster care. She's heavily involved. She's overwhelmed by the generosity that this campaign that I'm trying to put together. Because when I was younger, it really would have made a huge difference, because I already knew that I wanted to be an artist in some form or fashion. And if acting, because I was taking drama in high school, if acting would have been available to me in a program like this, I would have 100% felt more normalized in my situation. Of course, there's not a lot of funds that are readily available, and a lot of these kids are in very temporary situations for 3 to 4 months. And they just want to feel like normal kids and feel like they're doing things that are helping them get their minds off of the current situation that's at hand. And acting, of course, is very much like therapy. You have breakthroughs with stuff that you remember and stuff that you're dealing with, and you're able to express it. So I feel like foster care or any situation like this that a kid has to go through, it's so important that they are able to express themselves. So that's why this fund is so important to me. Now we've already hit $1,175 of my $10,000 goal. We have lots of expenses, from the rent of the studio, supplies, staff, the training, and of course we are working on flying some special guest speakers other than myself in to really inspire the children. Casting directors, maybe they see them do something, and some of our kids actually get cast in some stuff, and wouldn't that be a wonderful experience for them? So I can't do this alone 100%. I'm reaching out, and I want everybody to consider it, or tell a friend that has been in a similar situation, or if you just find it in your heart and reach into the pocketbook and grab $3 and put $3 in the GoFundMe. Any denomination really helps. It's going to make a huge impact on these kids' lives, and I want to be able to spearhead that and make it every semester or as much as I possibly can. I'm going on the CBS talk show here locally in Utah. It's called Fresh Living. I'll be doing that on April 9th, and I'll have some of the students with me. I'll be making some posts about that as well, that just showing some of the kids that are involved with Actors Technique New York, Utah, and talking of course about this charity as well. But we've got to try to reach that goal by April 27th. April 27th, and that's the cutoff to get the kids, as many kids as we can in the class. So I won't go on too much more. You will see more posts if you're following me. Obviously, most of you are on social media, so please consider it. And speaking about actors, of course, we were talking about this last week. My friend Jim Borstelman, who is going to be my next interview, he's in Seattle. It's been a few weeks since we've actually had a guest interview, but next week I'll be catching up with another great Broadway star, Jim Borstelman, who will be with us live from Seattle, where he's trying out a brand new musical. He'll be telling us all about that show, his career on Broadway working with legends like Mel Brooks, and surviving being hit by an 800-pound set piece during a tech rehearsal last week. And it's a good thing he has such a hard head. I'm looking forward to talking to Jim from Seattle. I am from Washington. I'm Washington native. I grew up Washington, Oregon. In fact, I grew up with Mount Rainier in my father's backyard. Washington State was a great place to be born. And like Utah, a really beautiful part of the U.S. Now, my first guest on the Jacob Young Show was actor Darren Kagasoff. His new NBC series, The Village, had its premiere last night, airing right after NBC's huge hit, This Is Us. I just want to say a big congrats to Darren for the great reviews. And the show is also #1 in its time slot. Did any of you happen to see it? If you did, what did you think? You can catch it on NBC On Demand if you didn't see it last night. Now I'm going to go over here and look at some of the questions or anything that's happening and back it up a little bit. Kenneth says, congratulations to Jackie and Heather. Stacy says, I love Heather Tom. Steve Freeman, fingers crossed. Thanks, Kristen. It's very sweet of you. Love what you're doing for the children. You have the biggest heart. This is a great thing for the kids. Mindy says, I was in drama for 4 years in high school, and I loved it. Rena, thank you. She's been a great asset to this campaign. I want to say thank you so much. You've been just a blessing. So thank you, thank you. Mark Rosano, The Village has me hooked already. Any other questions or anything you guys would like to ask me tonight? I'm up for a couple roles right now. I hate jinxing myself, so I can't tell you, but it's for a part in a major motion picture, and I hope you all can, send good vibes and, wish me the best, because it would be really, really a wonderful experience to be on such a major motion picture. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. Kenneth says, I'm rooting for Jackie. A baby and an Emmy nod, lucky girl. Yeah, she definitely has it all, and know that she's been wanting to have a baby for a while, and she finally found the man of her dreams, and we're able to make that other dream come true. So rooting for her too. Mindy Booth says, I can't wait to see Angel. It looks good. I think it's great. There's still some post editing and whatnot that they're going to be doing. It's going to be out in the summer, from what I understand. It's a really cool film. It's like a graphic novel, and Ricky Garcia's great in it. He plays Angel, and of course I'm always good. Always good in what I do. No, but it's just really great. The soundtrack was done by the guy who did Iron Man 3. So it's underscoring is really moody, and it's heavy, but it's also very uplifting. It's an edgy faith-based film. If that makes any sense, but not super faith-based. I mean, it's faith-based, but you know, it's not PG or G. It's PG-13. Karina says, how do you prepare for a new role? Well, I stand on my head and spin around 6 times. No, I like to, you know, I like to read through it, and then I start to think about what do I have in common with that character, and then I start to inject myself into that character. Of course, you always want to ask the who, the what, the when, the where, until you really get an idea of this person. And if you can't figure that out, then you have to just continue to create backstory until you really understand what that character is to you and would be to the other characters in the film. Kenneth, all the best, Jacob. Been a fan since GH. You are the man. Thank you, Kenneth. I appreciate that. There's been a lot of stuff happening over on GH. I've been keeping up with them. You know, a lot of my friends over there. So what's your character in Angel? Mark says, my character in Angel is Mr. Jones. He's kind of the physical embodiment of Satan. He's not a good guy. Seems to be my calling card these days, playing bad guys. That's why I think this next project would be really wonderful to be a part of, because this calling, you know, this is a totally different role. It's just a nice guy, nice role, and I would like to be a part of that. Tavia says the trailer is intriguing. Yeah, it is intriguing. I'm pretty sure there's going to be another trailer coming out. That was kind of a teaser, so there's going to be a more full, broad trailer that comes out. Garrett says, check out the movie 5 Feet Away. It was pretty good. All right, well, I'll check that out. I have not heard of it. I sometimes some of, you know, there's so many films that are coming out, they just slide right past you. So, oh yeah, that's a good point. Mark Ingo Rademacher is back on GH soon, according to his Instagram. Yeah, he did some posts today. He was in front of. I know it's going to be a big deal because he hasn't been on that show in a long time, and I'm really, really happy for him. Unfortunately, he was just way underused on Bold and the Beautiful, which seems to be a symptom of that show. That show tends to underuse a lot of characters. They have big ideas, but only a little bit of story. Sad, sad thing, but I'm glad that he's back and where he belongs and doing the kind of work that he will be doing. But call me Kenny. Of course, man. I will from now on. Thank you. Cindy says ACM Awards is next month. Yep, I love country music. That's another good point. I don't know if I mentioned it last time, but I'm going to be playing the KSL Fest in Oregon July 4th through July 7th. I'm opening up for Craig Morgan on July 4th, which is really cool to be there performing on that big, big stage on July 4th. Of course, the other headliners are Trace Adkins, Sawyer Brown, Dwight Yoakam, of course. So they've got a really, really nice lineup and a lot of good local Northwestern country acts that'll be there. It all takes place on this big ranch right in the middle of Central Oregon, in Paulina, Oregon. If you draw your finger on the map of Oregon and just point to the dead center, that's where Paulina is. And you can RV it, you can camp there. They have glamping. They have those really posh tents, and it's going to be a blast. It's just going to be fantastic. The very last day, which is the 4th day, is like a championship bull ride. But 3 days of music, 3 days of good tunes and good times. So if anybody has a hair or hankering to get up to Oregon, July 4th, it's going to be a riot. And of course, my family's going to be there. Mindy's going to be there. Gary's going to be there. I just saw the movie, Marcus. I just saw the movie Greta last night. Was like Lifetime on the big screen, right? Take your wife Kristen in the studio. she hates being in front of the camera, but maybe one of these times if we can convince her. Joe Ponza, would you consider a Lucky return? You know, Joe, I've always liked the character of Lucky, and I wouldn't be opposed to it. I really don't have much intentions of coming back to daytime anytime soon. I'm never gonna don't count me out. I just don't think they see it in the cards for me to be there at the moment. Sadie says, I met Craig Morgan and Trace Adkins. They're super nice guys. You know, honestly, I don't think I've ever met a country artist that wasn't nice. Unless he was just really drunk and was pissed off. I don't know. Everybody seems to be nice when you meet them. I've met some rock stars that were treated people pretty badly, and I met a lot of actors that have been big a-holes. Mindy says, we're coming. Yay, yay, yay. Okay, well, Garrett says, when you get a script, is it easy for you to remember your lines? Good question. Initially, when you first start off, it's like anything. It just feels like everything's coming at you a million miles an hour. And to be able to memorize, you feel like you're just completely overwhelmed. But the more you do it, the more times you've done it over the years, it's like riding a bike. It becomes easier and easier. And everybody has their little tricks of the trade. I always like to use associations like, why am I saying this and what's going to happen after that? So I try to find some sort of trigger word in there that makes me remember the next line. But everybody works different. Some people even have photographic memories. I was not that lucky. But I do feel sometimes that I'm that some paragraphs, monologues are much more easy to memorize than others. Lots of Emmy nominations for Days of Our Lives this year, Mark Rosano says. Yeah, good for Days of Our Lives. Davia says, does Kristen read lines with you? Yes, she does. She not only reads lines with me, but whenever I need to put myself on tape, and that's a good point too. Self-taping has changed the auditioning process forever. We used to always have to go into audition with casting directors. Now, sometimes it's very important to do that. But a lot of times now, because it will save time and money, they want you to put yourself on tape for the auditions. Now, my beautiful wife always helps me study and always reads the lines on the other side of the camera. And she does a fantastic job. She won't tell you that she does, but she does a really, really fantastic job. And it makes it so much easier to do those auditions. But yeah, the self-tape has really changed the game. In fact, I just auditioned for NCIS, or one of those, the NCIS. I'm probably saying it wrong. But I just auditioned for that, and they only take self-tapes. They only take self-tapes. They don't audition anybody in person. So that's pretty cool. So, yes, I do. Poor guy, Kristen says. Oh, you're silly. Maybe, Joe, Lucky has a son who needs him. I wish the character would be written back in. You know, my good friend Ken Schreiner also said the same thing. He's championing the same thing to me. He keeps going on and on about it. He said, Lucky needs to be back. Lucky needs to be back. I don't know. I just, you know, if enough people wrote in to the producers over there, the producer over there, in fact, I don't know. Is it going to make a difference? Who knows? But I don't know. I just don't. I don't know where I am personally with that, and I don't know how the GH cast would accept me coming back. They'd have to be on board too, and that goes for Jeannie Francis, Rebecca Herbst, all those people that I worked with over those years. Okay, so well, listen, I've got you know, I mean, if you have any more questions, you know, I got some more time. I'm kicking back here. But that's all pretty much the news I had for the day. Next week, we're going to have that great interview out of Seattle. You guys should definitely catch that one. Jim Borstelman is an amazing talent who has been on so many shows like Young Frankenstein, The Producer, Chicago, the original revival of Chicago. on and on and on and on. He's worked with Mel Brooks. He's now in developing this brand new Broadway show, which most likely will end up on Broadway. But we'll hear it from somebody who's been in that business for so long, and including being a Gypsy Robe winner. Gypsy Robe winner is only given out to people who have been and honored have been in these shows for so many years and has been in the Broadway scene for so long. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And if Jacob, the character Caroline died on Bold and the Beautiful, you have a favorite Rick and Caroline story? Yeah, you know, my favorite Rick and Caroline story was when they were at odds. It was just when Maya was coming into the picture and she was sneaking off with Ridge. There was that whole incident with the gun, and everybody thought Rick was crazy, but it was like justice served. It was pretty. I enjoyed that, and everybody was so great in that story, and it made it a lot of fun to come to work every day. So he says, bring Luke and Lucky back, the Spencer family. Unfortunately, Tony, I don't think has any intentions of ever returning back to General Hospital. He's retired. So, but yeah, it'd be great to see Tony. Congratulations to Lindsay's nomination as well. Yeah, she was nominated as well. She well deserved. She's been a great sport about everything that had happened on Bold and the Beautiful. I read a post about what she had written, and it was very well put. And she's obviously doing some great work at Days of Our Lives. All right. Well, listen, guys. Well, everybody, it was great seeing everybody again. And always, thank you so much for joining the show. Your friends can hear your name mentioned and your comments anytime on the Jacob Young Show on YouTube. It's going to be a great show next week, so please tune in, because even if you miss a little, you miss a lot. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.